Hello everyone. So today we're going to talk about different watercolor papers that I've used as I started my watercolor botanical art practice. So these are the papers that I've recently purchased or have had on hand, and these are the ones that I've been practicing with. I've noticed that there are some watercolor beginners like me who would really benefit from finding out what watercolor papers are available out there, especially locally. I'm from Manila in the Philippines, and if you're someone who's just starting your watercolor practice, just like I have, here in Manila or maybe in the region, maybe um, this video would really help you. So first off, I ordered this online. It's called, its brand is Bao Hong, spelled Baohong, and it's Academy watercolor paper pad. In some videos that I've watched, they were also using Academy watercolor paper pad. And this one is about, I'm not sure what the weight of this paper is. There are 20 sheets in each one, and it's about 7 inches by 4.9 inches. Oh, there you go. It's 300 grams per square meter, which means it's a very good thickness if you're going to use it for watercolor. In my research, I found out that at least 200 grams per square meter wouldn't really buckle if you used it for watercolor practice. So since this was 300 grams per square meter, I tried to use it, and so far so good. I've enjoyed using it. And by the way, I bought this online because it was a very affordable 100% cotton watercolor paper pad. The ones out there that are 100% cotton are a little bit on the more on the less affordable side. So I was quite impressed with the price of this one, so I went for it. I think this one was also delivered from China. It took a while before it got to me. It has some Chinese characters on it, so that's what I think. That's where I think it came from China. It's hot pressed paper, which means it's very smooth, and the size for me is good enough. When you open it, it has this note that says open right here. So what that means is it's actually sealed on pretty much all sides, and it opens because there's a slot here where you can start tearing it off. So what I've been doing is I've been inserting a ruler to separate the pieces of paper. So I insert it, and then I go through all sides to remove my artwork when I'm done with it. So I also found out that as you're working, it actually helps that it's sealed on all sides. so that it doesn't buckle, it doesn't crinkle when you prep the paper with water. So these are some of the art projects that I've done using this Academy watercolor paper pad with the brand Bao Hong, which was really affordable. It's very smooth, and the Cattleya series were mostly made or painted using this watercolor paper pad. Not bad because with its affordability, it's 100% cotton, and actually behaves, helped me with creating the hard edges that I wanted to achieve. I'm still learning, and there's some that are still going out of the edges that I wanted it to out of the edges. So I'm still working on my hard edges, but the smoothness of the paper actually helped my botanical art practice. Okay, what I noticed though was with this hot pressed paper is that when I wet the paper, the water kind of sits longer than usual, and I think that's part of it, part of the hot pressed quality of the paper. It's thick, smooth, but then when you wet it, the water stays and sits on it. Another thing that I found out about hot pressed paper is that it's more challenging to lift paint that has already settled on the paper. I haven't really, I think I've done some lifting when I made mistakes, and some of the color still stays on the paper. So I don't know if that was just psychological or if it's something that I'd have to compare hot pressed versus cold pressed paper. I think that for botanical art practice, hot pressed paper, and it says here outside, right? HP or hot pressed paper actually works well for botanical art practice because it has very fine details, petals, and the highlights that you actually have to apply when you're creating botanical art. It actually helps with the finer details. The cold pressed paper has a rough texture and a rough surface, so it actually adds texture to your art. If you are into landscapes, I think that would actually work. And I'll show you another one of my paper pads later so that you can see what it looks like if it has a rough texture and it's the subject's botanical art. So that's the first one on my paper pad collection, in my paper pad collection. Let's set that aside. And the next one would actually be not this. This one was not. These ones were actually made with wood pulp paper, not 100% cotton. And while it's not 100% cotton, I really enjoyed practicing with this paper, and the paper grew on me. I didn't have any comparison at that time. I think what I enjoyed was that there was a good absorbency to this paper, and since it's just practice paper, I actually enjoyed the process. What I noticed, however, was I was struggling with my hard edges. It doesn't really it's not very obvious yet here, but maybe I could show you this one. This artwork of mine, if you would see the edges right there, there are some which are flowing, maybe because the water was absorbed by part of the texture. So there were some that I didn't really want to go out of line. So maybe it's also that I need more practice, but it could also be because the texture of the paper is rather rough. What I used for the paper pad I used for these leaf projects was this one, which I also found online. This was actually one of the first papers that I used for watercolor practice. So it's Georgian, and it's only 200 grams per square meter, or 200 GSM. It's, I think, already there. It's already acid free. It's A5 in size, and there are 30 sheets. So it's wood pulp, and like I mentioned earlier, it has a rough texture. I don't know if you'll see it in the camera. So both sides have a rough surface, but thick enough that it wasn't frustrating when I had to wet the paper a couple of times. So for the price and for my practice with these leaves, my initial practice projects, it actually served its purpose, and I enjoyed using it. And I think I have an attachment to it because I made several artworks with this. So that's it. This one is not 100% cotton. The next one I'm going to show you is this one. So this is a little bit on the pricey side. For 100% cotton paper actually is on the pricey side. So I got this in the mall in Art Bar. It's 300 grams per square meter, or 140 pounds. There are 25 sheets in it. The size is 5 by 7, and it's hot pressed. So it's also very smooth. The brand is Fabriano, and I'm going to show you another Fabriano paper pad that I have. So this one, interestingly, this one is similar to the Bao Hong watercolor paper pad that I showed you earlier. Honestly, if you're going to compare this Academy watercolor paper pad with the Bao Hong brand and this one, it's hard to actually see what the difference is. So it's very similar. This one is less than 500 pesos, the Bao Hong, which I ordered online. And this one, which I ordered from Art Bar, this Fabriano Aquarello watercolor paper pad. This one is more than 500 pesos. I think it's in the 800s or 900s in pesos. The difference of this paper pad is that you detach it from this corner. So you can lift it. It's sealed on all 4 sides, and you can detach it from this one once you're done with your watercolor project or watercolor piece. So I made one of my Cattleya artworks with this paper pad. So similar to the Bao Hong one, it's smooth because it's hot pressed. When you wet it, water sits at the top, and it works well. It's very thick, and in fact, because it's very thick, I think you can have back-to-back practice artworks on just one sheet. But of course, if you want to just have one artwork on one piece, that's okay too. So this is the pricier 100% cotton watercolor paper pad that I have. It's in traditional white. The other one that I have, the Bauhaus Academy watercolor paper pad I have, is also the same shade. So it's traditional white paper as well. One of the first paper pads I used for practice, even before I was doing my botanical art artworks, is actually this Tokyo Finds notebook paper. So it's not notebook paper, it's art paper. I didn't throw away the label. It actually says watercolor journal. It's actually good for watercolors and acrylics. And as you see here, I did an acrylic artwork sometime last year in November. For my watercolor artwork, I made this pine cone last Christmas, and these were one of my first watercolor botanical art pieces. I don't think this is also not 100% cotton, and it doesn't really say. It's a Tokyo Finds. This was a gift to me. It's a Tokyo Finds brand. And sorry about the dogs in the background if you hear it. But it doesn't really say if what the weight is, what the weight of the paper is, or the thickness is. But it's pretty good in the sense that I've used this for a lot of my acrylic work. And as you see, it's thick enough to have two artworks on each side. Another quality that I liked about it is on one side it's rough and on the other side it's smooth. So if you wanted to work on landscapes, I don't know if I have any landscapes in here. No, I don't. So let's say, for example, with this artwork, which was in acrylic, there it added structure, added some texture because this side is rough. I tried it also with this copy of a photo in a book that I bought on botanical art. I copied this flower, and this was the rough side. And after working on this one, I kind of got frustrated because I was having a hard time with the hard edges. So I tried it again on the smooth side, and I like this more. The paint behaved better, and it wasn't really going out of the lines where I wanted them to stay. This one was a gift to me, but I saw this watercolor journal in Fully Booked, so I think it's for sale in Fully Booked. I also like this actually. It's not 100% cotton, and I don't know if it's acid free. I also like this journal because it allowed me to have some good practice work. Another good thing about this is while it's attached to the rings of this notebook, it's actually serrated, so you could actually remove it easily or cut it off, and maybe frame the work that you've done. So it gives you that option. It's detachable. You can detach the paper from the journal itself. Okay, last but not the least that I've tried is this one. It's 25% cotton, as you see on the cover here, and it says cold pressed, so you'll see that it's rough paper. So the brand is also the same as my 100% watercolor pad. So this one is cold pressed, this one is hot pressed, and so you'll see the smooth texture inside. There are 24 sheets in this paper pad right here, and it's 9 by 12 inches. The weight is 200 grams per square meter. It's good for watercolor, gouache, acrylic, charcoal, and drawing. So I got this in National Bookstore, and the work that I did with this is actually some practice work and this one. So this was testing out the Winsor Newton Cotman 3 tubes that I used, and this is my color. It helped me do my color mixing and testing of those watercolor Cotman tubes. Another project that I made was one of the first botanical art practice work that I had. And as you see, because the paper is textured, there were some of the edges were still going out of, were still like the water still spilled out. But I enjoyed also practicing with this, and I like the size. But nowadays, since I like to try just painting one leaf at a time because it's all the time I have, I like working with smaller pads, watercolor pads. I want to test out another, I want to test out blending another palette that I have. I've never really blended the colors here. This is my Winsor Newton small palette with 12 pans of watercolor, and so it's like it's a portable kit, and I actually want to do these color swatches and blend the colors of the colors here in this watercolor pan, this watercolor set, sorry. So just so you don't get confused, for this watercolor paper pad, this was the experiment that I did with this paper pad. I combined these 3 colors, Winsor Newton lemon yellow, permanent rose, and ultramarine blue. So this was very useful for that. So that's it. Those are my watercolor pads. This one is on the more, I think this is one of the more affordable ones because it's just 25% cotton. So I leave it to you to decide which one you're going to buy for your watercolor practice. If I were to suggest what you can buy or what you can use if you're starting off, maybe since it's the most affordable in the bunch, maybe I would suggest going for this one, this Giorgio watercolor pad. It's not 100% cotton, it's wood pulp, it's textured, but while you're testing out whether or not you'll enjoy the process of trying out watercolor, don't go for the very expensive ones first or the pricey ones first. For a trial, this Giorgio watercolor pad, I think would do. It's 200 grams per square meter, or this one I found online. Both I actually bought online. Giorgio watercolor pad and this Academy watercolor paper pad with the Bao Hong brand. So that's it. I hope this video helps you and gives you some idea what brands there are out there. I'm happy that I tested it out first before you did, so that you can decide for yourselves which ones work for you. If you like this video, if it helped you somehow, kindly press like and subscribe. And hope you also watch the other videos that I've made on this channel. Bye!